2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's
That's another knockdown. You know, Jim. He got up.
You believe in miracles? Yes!
The All Things Sport Podcast with your hosts, Damian Banks and Pierre Banks on Speaker Radio.
What's happening? What's up? What's going on? It's the All Things Sport Podcast, and I am your host, Damian Banks. And here on ATS, as I affectionately call it, I give you, the listener, all things sport. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on the podcast. For our new listeners, come on in. The door is wide open. And for my faithful and loyal listeners, welcome back. Your love and support is greatly appreciated. You can download this podcast and any other old podcast on the website, banksboy.com. We also have a YouTube channel on the website, as well as blogs from myself and Pierre. And you can follow your boy on Instagram and Twitter at Sports by Damian. That's SportsByDaimeon. You can follow Pierre as well on Instagram and Twitter. That's IN_my_humble. Follow us both. We interact with the people who follow us and tweet us on Twitter and Instagram, man. And again, thank you for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Another week is in the books. Hope you guys out there in podcast land had a great week. I did myself, man. I had a busy week. Did a lot of visiting of family members, man. Visited my father, my pops. Shout out to John Banks Sr., John Allen Banks Sr. We call him Lil Doc of Baby Cakes. Shout out to Pop Dukes, man. A lot of my brothers were over at his house this weekend. My brother Los B, my brother Telly, Eric, my twin brother Damon, Pierre was over there as well. Shout out to everyone who came through, man. Had a great get together at my pop's house. Also visited some friends in Chapel Hill, celebrated the birth of their son. And, the missus and baby Loxley, we went up there to Mark and Christian Little to celebrate the births of their children, Malachi. And I know I'm going to say his second son name wrong. I think it's Atwe. But yeah, man, salute to them, man. And I'm speaking about that because at this party, it was a table full of cakes. I mean, strawberry cake, chocolate cake, pound cake, and my favorite, German chocolate. So I got a piece of the German chocolate because German chocolate is my, favorite cake. So when I bit into it, I said, I know this taste. I know this taste from somewhere. This is a favorite dessert cake. And I asked Mark, where did he get the cake from? And he said it's from Favor Desserts. So, man, shout out to Favor Desserts, man, for always making a quality product, man. If you haven't had Favor's Desserts, it's right here in Durham, North Carolina, beautiful Durham, North Carolina. Go down there, man, get you a slice of red velvet or German chocolate or pound cake or whatever, you like in the cake department, man. And, again, we're broadcasting from the beautiful Banks Boy Studios in Durham, North Carolina. You're listening to the All Things Sport Podcast. I am your host, Damian Banks. And today's show, got a lot going on in the show. Have the NFC and AFC championship games to recap. The NFC championship game was played by the Atlanta Falcons and the Green Bay Packers. Atlanta came away with a 44-21 win. And the AFC Championship game pitted the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. New England came away with the 36-17 win in that one, man. We'll be talking about that. And we have an interview with the other half of the All Things Sport Podcast. He has been on hiatus. Pierre Banks is coming back for an interview on this episode. And, we got the hot topics, man. So without further ado, let's start off with the hot topic. And the hot topic of the day is the NBA All-Star Game. And the starters for the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference were named this week. And it was a lot of, ruckus made and a lot of fuss made, and rightfully so, with the West starters. Now, the West starters are Anthony Davis of the New Orleans Pelicans, Kawhi Leonard of the San Antonio Spurs, both having great seasons. Kawhi Leonard is a early season MVP candidate for the Spurs. Also, Kevin Durant for the Golden State Warriors. And you had James Harden, another MVP candidate. But the last starter in the starters for the Western Conference was Steph Curry. And a lot of you are thinking, how is that controversial? Steph Curry averaging 23 points, about six or seven assists. Steph Curry is balling. But they left off Russell Westbrook. Yes, the same Russell Westbrook that's averaging a triple-double right now. 30 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. Russ, I know you're an ornery person by nature, but I know, man, this really gets you. It really gets you right there. I know it does, Russ. I know you're heated about it. I know you're upset, man. You can say that it's an honor to be voted an all-star. And yeah, it is an honor, but bruh, you deserve to be starting. 30 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, averaging a triple-double, MVP candidate along with James Harden. Trying to be the first player to average a triple-double since the great Oscar Robertson did it way back when for the Milwaukee Bucks. Russ, I know it irks you that Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City and he now plays for the Golden State Warriors. But I know this has to get you too, man, that you are not a starter in the Western Conference and Steph Curry is, man. So, Russ, you guys, man, the fan vote is the reason why Steph Curry is a starter. Now, there's three components to the voting: the media, the players, and the fans. The media and the players went with, it was a tie going into the fan vote. And of course, everybody loves Steph Curry because he shoots three-pointers and he can't dunk like most of America. So, Steph Curry edged out Russell Westbrook, and he is a all-star starter. Now, in the Eastern Conference, usual suspects: LeBron James, the leading vote getter, and Kyrie Irving will represent the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference. Joining him will be DeMar DeRozan of the Toronto Raptors, Jimmy Butler of the Chicago Bulls, and Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. Jimmy Butler and Giannis will be first-time starters in the All-Star games, man. So salute and congratulations to those guys, man, for making the All-Star team and for being named starters in the Eastern Conference. But going back to Russell Westbrook in the Western Conference, Russ, y'all gonna make Russ hurt somebody, man. Y'all know that Russ has an attitude problem. Russ is gonna try to score 70 points, man, in an All-Star game. I can feel it. Now, the All-Star game was supposed to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, but, former governor of North Carolina, I can't even remember his name right now. He's no longer the governor. Roy Cooper is the governor right now. Pat McCrory, yeah, that's his name. And that stupid HB2 bill, forced a lot of championships to leave the state of North Carolina. The ACC championship in football and basketball, the ACC championship in baseball, the ACC championship in soccer was held in North Carolina. The CIAA championship in football was held in North Carolina. Now, the CIAA championship for basketball is still going to be in North Carolina in Charlotte, but that's leaving as well. So congratulations, Pat McCrory, and all you supporters of that HB2 bill. You cost the state a lot of money. The NBA All-Star game left and is now in New Orleans. So, Anthony Davis, a New Orleans Pelican, he is the lone representative for that franchise in the All-Star game. So the All-Star game will be in New Orleans this year. Look for Russell Westbrook to go hamburger. Russell Westbrook will go ham and cheese, and he's going to score about 89 points, have about 35 rebounds and 20 assists. Now, don't quote me on those numbers, but I got a feeling that Russ is going to try to get the All-Star game MVP. So that's my hot topic for this edition of the All Things Sport podcast. I am in the middle of a dry spell. I'm going to take a sip of my Harris Teeter natural spring water bottled in a protected spring in Roaring Gap, North Carolina. We're going to take this commercial break. When we come back from the break, I'm going to recap the NFC Championship game in the NFL as well as the AFC Championship game and talk a little bit about the upcoming Super Bowl LI. Also, later in the show, we're going to have an interview with Pierre Banks, and we're going to end the podcast with a fan favorite, the segment we call Bruh. For real? Don't go anywhere. We're going to take this commercial break. We'll be back on the All Things Sport podcast on Spreaker Radio.
What up, this is Pierre Banks, and when I'm back in Boone watching the Mountaineers, my first stop is always Mountaineer Mania. The good folks at Mountaineer Mania have the widest selection of app gear, so you can cheer on the Mountaineers in style. T-shirts, hats, hoodies, sweatshirts, decals, cornhole sets. I mean, if you need it, they've got it. So head on down to Mountaineer Mania at 497 West King Street in Boone and tell them I sent you.
The All Things Sport Podcast
We go back like spinal cords and car seats.
with Damian Banks and Pierre Banks on Spreaker Radio.
Welcome back to the All Things Sport podcast. I am your host, Damian Banks. Again, every time, I'm telling you, I'm not even sugarcoating it. I'm begging, I'm imploring you, to use a big word, I'm imploring you to visit the website, banksboy.com. And also, you can follow your boy on Instagram and Twitter at Sports by Damien. Now, before we went to the break, we talked about our hot topic, the NBA All-Star. The starters in the East and West have been named. You know, I know Russ is going to be upset. Russ, man, I'm telling you, Russ is going to end up hurting somebody. But I digress, man. Let me move on to the meat and potatoes of the podcast for today. We all know it's NFL playoff time, and the NFC Championship game and the AFC Championship game just ended. And the NFC Championship game pitted the Atlanta Falcons and quarterback Matt Ryan. They were hosting the Green Bay Packers and their godly quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Now, before this game started, I was a little skeptical of Atlanta. I know they have a high-powered offense. They've been playing well all year. But Atlanta reminds me of one of my favorite teams, the NC State Wolfpack. They always have talent, but they seem to underachieve. Every time the Atlanta Falcons have an opportunity to win a game of significance, they always come up a little bit short, much like my NC State Wolfpack. But not today. Matt Ryan put on a clinic versus the Green Bay Packers. Now, we know the Green Bay Packers struggled defensively all season, and their secondary was mediocre at best. But Matt Ryan, he was a surgeon, man. 392 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. Julio Jones went hamburger. 180 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. The Atlanta Falcons didn't punt until they were already up 24-0, I believe. And, it was ugly. It was 24-0 at halftime, 31-0 before Green Bay could put any points on the board. And, before you start crying for Aaron Rodgers, remember, he is dating Olivia Munn, and he does make a lot of money. But Aaron Rodgers was under duress for a lot of this game. And the Atlanta Falcons defense is much maligned. They give up a lot of points. But they have been playing really well these last couple weeks of the regular season and the divisional round playoff game versus the Seattle Seahawks, where they pretty much shut down Russell Wilson, and the Seahawks. So the Atlanta defense has been playing well. They stepped it up another level today. Harassed Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers did not look like himself. Rodgers was precise and decisive in their divisional round win at Dallas. Especially in that last drive where he made that ridiculous throw on the sideline to Jared Cook when it was 3rd and 21, put the Packers in field goal range, allowing them to get to this NFC Championship game. But Aaron Rodgers, he looked rattled today. He didn't look himself. I've been seeing a lot of memes online. Pierre, actually, I was talking to him before I started the podcast, and he told me it was some pretty funny memes online with Aaron Rodgers. Look those up, but yeah, man, Rodgers didn't look settled most of the game, and Matt Ryan looked like every bit of the MVP candidate that he is, man. Again, almost 400 yards passing and 4 touchdowns, 27 of 38 passing. Atlanta, man, Kyle Shanahan, I'm not a big fan of the Shanahans, especially the father. Mike Shanahan, I'm just not a huge fan. Respect him, but just not a huge fan. Kyle Shanahan is rumored to be taking the job in San Francisco, which is my team, the 49ers. And if he becomes the head coach, I guess I'm going to have to bite the bullet and support him. But I'm not a huge fan of Kyle Shanahan. But he has this offense clicking. Now, they have weapons. Julio Jones, one of the top wide receivers in the National Football League. Mohamed Sanu, great off